It's definitely starting to look a hell of a lot like Christmas because Christmas Eve is tomorrow, so I thought I better get back to some of these Christmas horror movies. I only got a couple days left. I guess I could do them whenever, but we gotta do them during the Christmas holiday season. And now that I've seen Rise of Skywalker a couple times, now I can kind of get back in a headspace where I can watch these fun little horror movies. And we are going to talk about a movie called Game Over? Dial Code Santa Claus? Deadly Games? I don't know how many fucking titles this movie have. But before we do that, I want to open up a quick gift right here by Guillermo Canales, who sent me a bunch of stuff in the past. So he sent me something here for Christmas. So I got a little Christmas present. Let's pop this open real quick. Only one thing today, which is awesome. But I'm used to him sending me like 80 things. If you've watched other videos with him, it's crazy. So, we've got The Last Circus, which I have seen. I barely remember it. But yeah, I need to get to these damn movies. I haven't yet. The movies that people have sent me, I always say I'm going to get to them, and I do mean that. I will. There's just so many damn movies to watch. We got a card here real quick, and let's see. We've got a card, and it says Merry Christmas. Thank you. There's cash in here. Okay. Well, okay. I won't say how much. Or wait, no, you can't see that. That's, there you go. Wow. Well, thank you for that. Damn. All right. Hi, Jason. Just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Just want to wish you a Merry Christmas to you and your family. Okay, that does make sense. I thought maybe it was a grammatical error at first, and I didn't want to, poke fun, but no, I think this works. To you and your family, and a Happy New Year. Okay, that's an A. I also sent you 2 Christmas gifts along with this card. I am not asking you to review The Last Circus, just Lovely Molly and Farmhouse. Okay, you got it. Take care, and again, have a Merry Christmas. See. Hope this festive... This is the card, not what he wrote. Hope this festive season brings you every comfort, every joy. Happy New Year's too, in addition. Okay, well, thank you for this. Pretty generic card for a horror fan. I'm guessing, you just grab that, but wow, fantastic, man. So yes, okay, Farmhouse, Lovely Molly, got it. I'm on it. Lovely Molly and Farmhouse. I see them right up here too, so I'll grab them. I see Farmhouse and Lovely Molly. I think is I think you got a blue. Anyways, okay, thank you, Armo. That's fantastic. Merry Christmas to you as well. Happy New Year. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah, happy fucking whatever. Thank you. Seriously. Alright, so this is a movie I've never seen before. This is on Shudder. I've seen people talk about it. They say that this inspired or that Home Alone ripped it off. I don't know if there's any validity to that, if it's just people saying that. I don't know. But regardless, okay, so let's talk about this movie. Now, I had a bunch of notes here that I was going to talk about, and I will talk about some of them. And we get this Eye of the Tiger kind of rip-off opening where the kid's working out, and then he gets himself all geared up with commando makeup, and he even has a commando poster up on his wall, so it's clearly a reference to that. Love the rip-off song. It's so funny. It's like dun 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 dun. It's on. I've mentioned this on my channel in the past, but if you ever look this up, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty damn funny. It's Vanilla Ice, when he's defending that his Ice Ice Baby doesn't sound it doesn't sound exactly the same. His opening doesn't sound exactly the same as Queen's song, and he's like dun 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 dun. It's so funny. You gotta watch it. But that's kind of like this, where I was listening to it and I was like, it's like, man, they're really going for it here. Rising up, back on the street. Is that... Anyway. So, I was like, wait a minute, because I get them mixed up in my head at times. that is Eye of the Tiger, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't because they have the like 3 different songs, like big songs that are attached to Rockies, and sometimes I get them mixed up in my head. Like, wait a minute, is that Eye of the Tiger or is that whatever? I know, no, that is Eye of the Tiger. Okay. Anyways, moving on. This kid has one dope haircut. Let me tell you. Whoa, what's up? That haircut is rad. And I like the wild imagination on this kid. This movie's just outrageous. But at the same time, as silly as it is, because that's really what it was for me. It was like, this is a super silly movie. And while I was watching it, I was just kind of embracing it for the pure cheese of it. But as the film continued, and especially towards the end, I started to really kind of see the tragedy that this movie was. Like, even though this movie, I feel like a lot of people would watch this movie, and I was one of them, I went into it expecting something totally goofy, totally silly. And whilst I was, watching it, especially in that first, 20, 30 minutes, the Commando Rocky opening, and then he, goes down, he has, a trap door in his house that he has control of on his arm, and I'm like, okay, this is absolutely absurd. His mom lets him have a trap door in the house that he can control by his arm, catches the dog, and she's just like, oh, ha, ha, ha. No big deal, just get the dog out of there. And then he has secret doors in the house that lead to rooms that his mom doesn't even, he has a toy dungeon essentially that his mom doesn't even know exists within her home, and this house is some freaking Edward Scissorhands mansion place. Ridiculous. Just absolutely this. It is absolutely ridiculous. So I was kind of in that mindset for a while of it. But then questions started getting posed to me in my head, and I started thinking about this on a more serious note and a little bit deeper of a level, which I feel like the film goes for in addition to being absolutely ridiculous. So I feel like it's warranted to go into this place mentally. But anyway, so number one, what is this Santa Claus character's motives in this? Because they seem very insidious in nature, right? I mean, he kills the dog, brutally kills the dog, damn. And then they have that really sad sequence where he buries the dog and he's having flashbacks and shit. At least this time around, it wasn't the dog having flashbacks like in The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. But no, it's really, really sad. The way they play it, and when he's carrying the dog and the dog's tongue's hanging out of its mouth. Brutal, man. But what is the guy's motives? Because, he comes in, he kills the dog. Then he goes after the friend. Then he goes after, everybody. And it's as we see him, it seems like he's got a bloodlust. He wants to kill everything that moves. All right, we got that figured out. That's simple, very cut and dry, black and white, moving on. But then there's a moment where Thomas goes out and he's up on the ledge and he's like, hey, be careful, you're going to fall. And you think oh, he's just being a snarky cunt. He's just being oh, be careful. You don't want to get hurt. But then he has him dead to rights. After all of the shenanigans that he puts him through, goes full Kevin McAllister on him. But with much more of a malicious intent. He captures him, gets him dead to rights, could have killed him easily right there. He has the freaking, it's like a cake, it's like a cake, spatula or something that he kills the dog with. I don't think it's a real it's like a cake thing, isn't it? Whatever it is, he has a sharp instrument to his throat, or a blunt one, which would even be worse, man. Imagine being just carved into, telling someone you're gonna cut him up with a spoon, just a dull spoon. That would be so much more brutal than something super sharp. Anyway, but he's got this knife to his throat essentially. And he hasn't. He could just jam it right in, and he doesn't. He's like, all right, I found you. Now you come find me. And you can see he's being very whimsical and playful. And he runs off, and he legit wants to play a game. I don't know if Thomas won him over, but he goes and he's on this Santa message board. This is the Minitel, which was which was the internet before the World Wide Web, essentially. And he's in this Santa chat group kind of thing, and the kid comes in, and I guess he's, I don't know, stalking these things, looking for children to play with. I don't know. And then he finds out where his mom works because the kid says it. So the guy goes over there, applies for the job, gets the job. And when he's playing with the kid, at first he's kind of nice. And then when the kid accuses him of not actually being Santa Claus, this is where he slaps the kid across the face. And then Thomas's mother just so happens to be the girl who comes in and fires him and tells him to get lost. I couldn't even imagine nowadays. Holy shit. I would assume, that even back then, people would completely lose their mind and everyone would storm him right then and there. So I feel like it's even underplayed in this sequence. But nowadays, holy shit, as protective as children are, or parents are towards their children. I can't even imagine hitting a child in a setting like that, in any setting, but especially like a stranger who's supposed to be Santa and this kid. Oh my God, do you imagine? Anyways, but like, what are his motives there? And what exactly is what's going on with him? Like, I really don't understand. And so, like, it just, throughout, when he did this, especially when he grabs him and he's like, now you find me kind of thing, and he runs off, and then he gets in the back of the car and he's like, you're cheating. Like, he's upset. Like, we were supposed to be playing and you're fucking cheating. I mean, he was hiding in the car, right? He had to have been. So Thomas just didn't find him. So technically I'd be like, well, I was looking for you and there you were. I mean, I was pretty close, right? But yeah, I mean, and then they get over, and here's the other thing. So that's an interesting thing to think about here, is that this guy, he gets very upset when this kid accuses him of not being Santa. But he wasn't dressed up like Santa before it, but he was in a chat thing posing as Santa. But so does he see himself as Santa? Is this something he only does on Christmas Eve? Does he go out and stalk one child? Is this something he's done in the past multiple times? I don't know. Does he see himself as Santa? So now, another part of the movie is that Thomas is told by his mother that, I think it's his mother, or maybe it's his friend. I can't remember. But somebody tells him that, I think it's his friend. Maybe. Tell me if you remember. That if you see Santa Claus, if you don't go to bed, if you see Santa Claus, he'll become a troll. And so throughout the movie, he's a very staunch believer in Santa Claus. Like, he absolutely diehard believes in Santa Claus. He tries to, like, convince himself he's not real, but at his core, he really does believe. And so when this guy comes in, he thinks it's Santa, and the dogs attack him, and then he kills the dog. And he's like, what the hell? And then throughout the movie, he starts to believe that he's responsible for it. And at the end, when he gets killed, which I actually think was... It's not a missed opportunity, because the way the movie ends, it kind of ends on a total gut punch, like a heart-wrenching moment of like, holy shit, man. This kid just thinks he's responsible for killing Santa Claus. Like, I'm responsible. I was up past the time I was supposed to. I was the one who had to be the clever kid with the gadgets, who caught Santa on film, who was going to prove it to everybody. And what happened? Santa had no choice but to become a troll, because that's part of the lore or whatever. And then he came after me, and I had to shoot him. And then he came in the house, and Grandpa shot him. And then he plays through that whole idea of like bones, and there's no proof, and Santa isn't dead. And then he's like, this is my fault. This is my fault. This is a kid at 10 years old who now believes he's responsible for killing Santa Claus. I mean... I like how when because I've always had this, almost like disagreements or like hard stance against telling kids about Santa Claus and tricking them into believing that he's real. It's something that I'm still very unsure of. I don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like it's a lie, but at the same time, it's like this really magical experience that you can only experience when you're a child. And why rob your kid of that experience? And hopefully they just have a really easy kind of transition where they go, okay, like I understand, instead of being like finding out and being like, you son of a bitch, you lied to me, now all magic is dead to me and now I know I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? Like I start to go way overboard in my mind of how a kid is gonna react. And so with this, I like that he kind of questions it, and in questioning it, he also questions everything, which has kind of been my point. Like, if Santa isn't real, then what's real? Like, and he starts being like, well, what if, other things aren't, cavemen and other things? He's like, how am I supposed to know those are real now? You've lied to me about this. There's no proof of this in my eyes. How am I supposed to believe literally anything? Which has always been a question of mine when it comes to history. It's like, you just kind of got to take historians' word for it. Oh, they have proof. I haven't seen it. That's kind of the truth of anything, but you can't live a life where you deny the existence of evidence and whatnot. Like, that's just a rabbit hole that you will feel like the whole world is kind of up for debate, and that's, it can be healthy to an extent, but to that level is unhealthy. So, but yeah, with this kid kind of going through it, and you can see how serious he is about this, and just watching him kind of process the fact that he's responsible for killing Kris Kringle on Christmas Eve. Holy fuck. What a head trip for a child. As far as the movie goes, I found the movie to be a tad tedious at times, although very memorable in moments too. Like, this isn't a film you're apt to ever forget when you watch it. It just felt like a little bit of a chore at times. There was some super questionable decisions. It's a silly film for sure, over the top, but also with a lot of depth and questions posed that I'm kind of tripping out on now that the movie's over. I was not expecting that 20-30 minutes into the movie. I was like, this is just gonna be silly. I'm not gonna be thinking about anything when this is over. Absolutely. What would be the effect of thinking that you were responsible for the death of Santa Claus as a child? And what the hell were the motives of this dude? The grandpa in this movie, he kind of reminded me of like Charlie Bucket's grandpa, and how he's blind, and his blind vision is a lot better than Jean-Claude Van Damme's in Bloodsport, or should I say Frank Duke's, when it's just like blurred on the edges, but everything in the center of the screen is completely clear, and it's like, dude, he's right there. Like, you can see perfectly. I can see what you're seeing, and you can see. Like, Grandpa's vision is fucked. Like, he is blind. That's the kind of vision we should have been shown in Bloodsport, not the shit we were shown. Because that was like, okay, it sucks that you're kind of cloudy on the edges, but just focus in the center of your vision, and he's right there. So, but yeah, I like that. And the kid's a genius, so they say. And the whole back and forth with the grenade, and then like the long fuse as it went, and there's like an obvious grenade on the back of it, and it doesn't even go off anyway. That whole sequence, it's like 5-6 minutes long, is so dumb. It was actually like, oh my god, this is so stupid. I don't know. For some reason, it really didn't work for me at all in that moment, and I was rolling my eyes. And yeah, all I have written down here, grenade scene is so dumb. And yeah, I mostly said everything I want to say. All this is kind of silly, but those are the most important things to discuss. So what do you guys think? What do you think the guy's motives are, and how do you think a kid would take? How many years do you think a kid would take to get over this? Would he ever get over it? Did he become like Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night? That seems like the future of this kid. He's gonna go full. He turns into Rambo. That's what happens, man. He turns into Rambo Last Blood, because that's essentially Rambo meets Home Alone. So there you go. It's an interesting watch. If you haven't seen it for some reason and you're watching a spoiler discussion, now you have the reasons to go over to Shudder, check it out. It is in some other language, French, I think. And it's an interesting, unique watch. And I'm glad I checked it out finally. I'd never even heard of it until like last month. Never even heard of the fucking movie. So this is kind of like one of these gems that came out of nowhere. for me, where people were just like talking about it all of a sudden, like I missed it every single Christmas. I know people always talk about like elves and certain other Santa's sleigh and of course, stuff like that. But for like lesser known silly flicks that everyone loves during Christmas time. So, but anyways, so thank you to Guillermo Canales for sending me this card. Fantastic, man. That is much appreciated. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Adios.